Hi guys, White Witch 110 here. Tonight I'm going to be reading the first story that I wrote in my book when I bought it, and it's called Halloween. Halloween was over for another year. Last night pumpkins now sat to be neglected. Costumes laid crumpled on the bedroom floor. An empty loot bag is stowed away safe and sound. Lisa always took vacation time when Halloween was over. Depression would set in. Living alone, Lisa decided last year to leave her decorations up. There was a comfort in being surrounded by items she adored. "It's an unhealthy obsession," a friend commented. "Who keeps this stuff up all year?" a friend inquired. "There are many people who do. I'm not insane. Give me credit. The yard is clear of decorations." Lisa resented having to atone for her way of life. It actually was no one's business. Hannah had been outspoken in regards to Lisa's life for years. To be honest, she was tired in respect to comments to her lifestyle. It fit her perfect, even if none of them understood. "I'm taking some time away," Lisa informed Hannah. "For my sanity, I need to go away before I snap." She was being bluntly honest. "Everyone's opinion of my life is pushing me over the edge. Is it so difficult to understand I need to be me?" Lisa's voice was focused on her intent. "I never meant to be overbearing. It all comes from a place of concern." Hannah attempted to calm her. "Where are you going?" "I'm not sure, but I won't be letting anyone know." That isn't wise. That isn't a wise idea. "Someone should know," Hannah said. "Tell you what, I'll leave you information here because I'm not telling you before I go." Lisa was adamant. Hannah hugged her friend, told her to be safe, and left. Lisa spent time packing for her new adventure. She hadn't made solid plans. She would wing it. Her car packed, and not to Hannah, a note to Hannah on the corner, she left. Winter was making his presence known this frosty morning. Lisa made one more scan of the items. Yes, everything was here. If she had forgotten something, she'd purchase it. Lisa's only plan was to drive as far as she could before calling a night. As the miles clicked away, Lisa was lost in her thoughts. Before long, the sky began to cloud over. She was taking the back roads. Lisa found it much more relaxing. Trees on either side towered over her car. Rain would soon be here, and maybe the dreaded snow. It was now cold enough. Lisa stopped at a picnic area for a bite to eat. She situated herself under a sheltered spot. The November wind was relentless. Lisa pulled her hood tighter around her face. She refused to eat in her car. She wanted fresh air after 4 hours of driving. The wind was her only companion while she ate. Looking round, music from every horror movie she had ever watched played in her head. "Isn't this spooky?" she thought to herself. Lisa didn't feel a need to rush, so she took her time. As daylight faded, the atmosphere began to be extra eerie. Not wanting to get caught sleeping on the side of the road, she decided to stay put. The washrooms were still open, so she pulled her car closer to them. A woman alone, miles from the city, was never recommended. Hannah had reminded her to keep her windows and doors locked at all times. Lisa had installed wire for small curtains on the windows. Hannah, being Hannah, told her to get tint on the windows as well. Make sure no one can see in. They shouldn't be able to see you're alone, Hannah had said. Lisa wanted to know who they are, but didn't push it. She knew this was said in concern. Her friend had even offered to come with her. Of course, Lisa declined the offer with a loving hug, though she would admit now maybe she should have taken her up on the offer. Funny how ideas are great when speaking about them. Lisa never considered being frightened. Stories told when she was a teenager at camp were forefront now. The sun had all but set. Lisa used the facilities before calling it a night. Hang on. Sorry about that. Okay. Come here. She triple-checked her windows and made sure all doors were locked. Last on the list was to pull her makeshift curtains. Lisa leaned back on her pillows. It was quite cozy and surprisingly warm. Maybe when she got back home, she'd look into converting a van and give up her place. Everything she needed was at her fingertips. The evening was going well when Lisa felt a chill. I'm sure I rolled up the windows. She crawled from the warmth of her blanket to check. The front passenger window had been left open a crack. That's where the whistling was coming from. She had thought it was from the wind around the shelter. Lisa cranked the window hard. Using her hand, she checked for air. None. She was asleep in no time. In the early morning, during her deepest sleep, an RV had come in. Lisa woke in the morning to the sound of children. "Hello, neighbor," an older woman greeted her. "I hope my grandchildren didn't wake you." "No," she lied. "I was just being lazy." "You staying here for long?" she asked. "Oh, by the way, my name is Helen. That's my husband, Bert." She pointed to a gentleman behind her. The youngsters are Teddy and Emma." The woman waited for a response. "Well, it's nice to meet all of you." Lisa was trying to be polite. "Would you like to join us for breakfast?" Helen inquired. "Normally I would, but I've already eaten. I'm on my way out today. Just stopped overnight to sleep." That is all Lisa was going to say. Was it a good sleep? Lisa was getting suspicious of all the questions. She was sure it was all innocent, but you couldn't blame her for wondering. Yes, it was. Very quiet around here. No problem with the wildlife. You'll have no problems. Slowly, Lisa was moving towards her driver's side door. "Oh, we don't intend on staying. We've just stopped to stretch our legs." Lisa bid them a safe trip. Seconds later, she was back on the road. She had wanted to use the washroom, but felt uncomfortable leaving her car alone. 15 minutes up the road, she was relieved to find a service station. After gassing up, Lisa used the facilities, much to her relief. She took this opportunity to buy a few more items of food. She made sure to take a selfie to send to Hannah. This would put her mind at ease. Lisa had left strict instructions not to call. And, although it was difficult, Hannah kept her wishes. Gassed up and restocked, Lisa continued her trip. The further along she drove, she began to notice the crows. My God, this is like the movie The Birds. Her eyes darted back and forth. Why hadn't the grandmother offered advice about traveling alone? Where did that come from? She asked herself out loud. Once again, Lisa felt that cold chill. Oh my goodness. What's that all about? She asked herself. For an unknown reason, she wanted to get as much distance as possible between herself and the elderly couple. They seemed perfectly normal, but you never know. 6 hours, and the lines in the road were doubling. It was time to settle in. The next place to stop was a motel. Although she hadn't wanted to, Lisa took a room. It would be nice to watch some TV, and eat while she relaxed. Lisa turned off the lights around 10 p.m. She was comfortable and fell asleep in no time. It was an hour later when she awoke to noise outside in the parking lot. She had heard the voices before. It was them, the couple with their grandchildren. She didn't dare peek out the window. How had they found this place? Had they spotted her car? Lisa decided to get a few hours sleep and then leave before sunup. Yes, she was avoiding them. Yes, she felt they were following her, and she had no clue as to why. Maybe she was being paranoid. Lisa woke up before the sunrise. She quickly made her way out of her room. She took her car out of park and allowed it to roll backwards. She turned the key in the ignition. She found a giant cat. Hang on. Sorry about that. Where was I? Backwards. Lisa turned the key in the ignition. She quickly stopped to drop the key off and left. It was well into the afternoon when the rainstorm hit. The deluge caused Lisa to pull over at the next rest stop. She used this time to have a hot meal and inquire of a location where she could camp. About 5 miles up the road, there's a place. Clean washrooms. You'll be able to pick your spot at this time of the year, the waitress told her. You're the second person to ask me this morning. Really? Lisa laughed. Yes, grandparents with their grandchildren. They were a lovely couple. The waitress left to get Lisa's order. It couldn't be. She had left before they even stirred. They couldn't have passed her. She would have seen the camper. Feeling uncomfortable, Lisa inquired of another campground. The next one is about 20 miles. I've camped there. Not a bad little spot. The washrooms are all right. They stay open year-round. You'd get a spot easy. Lisa decided on the second location. Excuse me, do you remember which one they said they were going to? Seeing the look on the woman's face, she said, I believe you're describing are friends of mine. I'd love to surprise them. Oh, you're who they must have been talking about. They asked if we had seen you. Lisa's concern grew. Why were these people following her? Well, if I see them again, don't say you've seen me. No, if you see them again. I really want to surprise them. She attempted to appear upbeat. Back on the road, Lisa kept playing her first meeting over in her head. She hadn't heard the motorhome pull in. She woke to the sound of children. It was the same at the motel. It was the children's voice that woke her. This didn't make sense. Once again, it was getting late when her phone rang. It was Hannah, checking up on her. Now, normally, she wouldn't have answered, but due to the recent strangeness of the trip, she did. Lisa, how are things going? I've been wondering, how is the trip? Hannah asked her. It's been good, seeing the sights, taking photos, she told her. Hannah could hear it in her voice. What's wrong? I know you too well. What's going on? Lisa took a breath, debating whether to lie to her. Nothing. I'm thinking about turning around and heading home. Why? You just left a couple of days ago. I don't imagine you've gotten far, Hannah pointed out. Gee, I thought you'd be happy. You were so worried about me on my own. No, there's something going on. Lisa, I can hear it in your voice. There was no use holding it back. All right. The first night, everything was great. I found a great spot, Lisa began. Yes, I seen the photos. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of children. That's not a problem. It was an elderly couple with their grandchildren. Okay. Hannah wondered where this was going. The next place I stopped was a motel. Now, when I left that resting place, they were just getting food ready. I'm just getting to sleep when I hear those kids again. Lisa spoke in a whisper. I left early in the morning. When I stopped to eat, I inquired about a rest stop for tonight. Well, the waitress tells me I'm the second person to ask this morning. Without missing a beat, Hannah finished her sentence. It was the old couple. Yes. My question is, how did they get ahead of me? Lisa was perplexed. A shortcut? If they know the area, why would they ask for the next place to camp? I know it's 5 miles from the restaurant, so I was going 20 to the other location. Hannah's voice was weak. Maybe they enjoyed speaking with you? You're alone and they're concerned? She didn't for a moment believe what she was saying. Here's the thing, both times, it's the kids that woke me up. I never heard the motorhome. How does that happen? It's not a new model. So how does that happen? I don't know. Listen, where are you? I'm coming out to join you. I have time coming to me. Hannah's voice took on a serious tone. Don't stay at any resting place on the side of the road. Make sure you're in town. Now, where are you? Hannah was almost demanding. At the 20-mile mark. I'll be in Brisk, Lisa informed Hannah. Hannah thought hard about how she could get to Brisk quickly. Okay, go on to Brisk, then text me with your location or call. Eli has a cousin who owns a private plane. There's a small airport outside Brisk. We've been there before. I'll call you when I touch down. The plans were made. Lisa located a motel by the tiny airport. She called Hannah as instructed. I'm at the Natural Motel 10 minutes from the airport. I'll meet you there and bring you back here. Hannah agreed. It was only a half-an-hour plane ride. She had packed an overnight bag. Eli's cousin offered his services anytime she needed them. She thanked him. The 10-minute drive was stressful. Would that motorhome be parked there? As they rounded the corner, Lisa came to an abrupt stop. What's wrong? Hannah shot her a look. It's there. The damn motorhome is there. Lisa pointed out the front windshield. There could be nothing to it at all. You can't read something into it that might not be there, Hannah told her. It's directly in front of our room. Lisa raised her voice. All right, calm down. Take the next open parking spot. We'll get out of the car and go to the room. We need food. I haven't brought anything, Lisa said. So the women made their way to the grocery store first. They picked up enough for the day and beginning of the ride home tomorrow. If we see them, no mention where we're going, Hannah told her. They can be tricky when it comes to getting information. Lisa agreed to leave it all up to her. Pulling into the motel, Lisa spied the children playing outside the room 2 doors down. That's the kids. She nodded in their direction. We'll do just like I said. I'm here now. There's no need to be scared. Lisa did as she was told. 3 cars down, she had a spot. The women grabbed the bags, along with Hannah's bag, and made their way to the room. Well, hello again. It was the elderly woman. So nice to meet up again. We missed you at the last hotel. My grandson remembered your plate number. Oh, yes. I had to leave early. I needed to get here. Lisa was losing her grip. She was ready to spill the beans. She heard Hannah's voice in her head. At that moment, Hannah had stepped towards the room. And you are, dear? The older woman inquired. My name is Julie Brown. I've been wanting to visit this little hamlet for a while, so here I am, Hannah replied. She turned back to Lisa. Let's get this stuff inside. Once in the room, the women spoke in whispers. Why are they here? Did you notice the size of that mobile home? They don't need to be here. I admit this is strange. The women kept the curtains closed and sat away from the door. I'm sorry I doubted you. I'm glad I came. So am I. Lisa hugged her friend. If it wasn't for your car, I'd make arrangements for us to fly back. Hannah grabbed a handful of chips. Around dinner, there was a knock at the door. Lisa and Hannah stared at each other. Do they play like they weren't there? But what if the old couple had been watching and knew they were inside? They could always claim to have fallen asleep. The knock came again, much firmer this time. Lisa conceded and answered the door. Hello, dear. We were wondering if you would like to join us for dinner. Thank you so much for the offer, but we've been eating all day, Lisa explained. You know how it is when friends get together. Well, then maybe another time. We'll have dessert later if you'd like some. We'll let you know. Hannah spoke out from the other side of the room. Lisa closed and locked the door. We have to get out of here without them knowing. It will be near impossible, I think. What is up with these people? Don't they have friends? Don't ask me. I haven't spoken to them except to say hello. The women turned in early. They had a plan. Hannah had spoken to Eli's cousin. He was going to fly in with Eli. Lisa and Hannah would get in her car and leave. They would drive a block passing the airport. Eli would get in the car and drive it back. The women would fly back. But how is this going to work? Eli looks nothing like you. And 2 of you left. His cousin was curious. I told him to bring a wig and wear a Halloween costume. It's close to Lisa's hair. For your sakes, I hope this works. What are you going to do if they follow him home? They hadn't thought that far ahead. What would they do? At that point, I'd call the police, Lisa said. What are you going to tell them? He asked. That this old couple have been following me, Lisa answered. Saying it out loud, it sounded pathetic. We'll be home in 15 minutes. Hannah stayed the night at Lisa's. George decided to stay as well. Eli called the following morning. I should be home early tomorrow. Have you seen them? Hannah asked. Nope. Hannah, I know why, said Lisa. Hannah stepped beside her. Out on the street, there it was. The 70s blue and beige. It was parked on the opposite side of the street. How could they be here before me? I don't understand this. Eli was beyond confusion. I've had enough, is all Lisa said. Before one word could be said, she was out the door. Hannah caught up with Lisa, pounding on the door. Come out of there. I've got questions for you. Lisa, what are you doing? Hannah whispered. There was a click and the door opened. "Hello, dear, how are you?" the older woman asked, smiling. "I'm pissed. Who are you, and why are you following me? How did you get here? How did you know where I live?" "Calm down, dear. And another thing, I'm not your dear." Lisa was not holding back. "Come inside," she offered. "No, you can come inside mine." Lisa stood her ground. "Fine." The entire family followed her and Hannah into the house. "So tell me what's going on." The woman looked over to her husband. "Well, you see, we were in an accident a month ago." "And?" Hannah urged. Look, my pages are stuck together. "Our bodies were not found." "Pardon?" George said. "Our bodies are still in the motorhome. We need the authorities to find them." "You're joking, right? Tell us the truth," Hannah demanded. "No, wait," Lisa exclaimed. "I never heard the vehicle, remember?" "But that doesn't mean anything." "Yes, it does." Lisa walked over to the family on the sofa. She went to sit right down where the woman sat. "Lisa!" her friends shouted. The woman momentarily disappeared. "Where is the camper?" Lisa asked. "At the first rest stop, where we came to you," she told her. "But why me?" Lisa wanted to know. "You were there on the anniversary of a month. All we want is for you to tell the police." "Eli, where are you?" Hannah asked loudly. "Coming up the first rest stop on your trip. When you get there, look for the signs of an accident. When you find it, phone the police." With help from the couple, Eli found the wreck. "Don't look inside," Hannah warned. "The smell is bad, don't worry." The following day, Eli was back. The police came. The couple and the kids had been missing for a month. They were the caregivers for the children. Looked like a tire blew out. They didn't stand a chance. There is no next of kin. The kids' parents took off 2 years ago. They were never mature enough to raise them. No one knows where they are. So what does this mean for the funeral? They can't be thrown in a hole. Lisa was upset. "No, that isn't going to happen. A neighbor was a trusted friend of theirs. She has all the arrangements. They'll be laid to rest together." "I'm sorry." Lisa turned to the family. "If I hadn't been so frightened, you wouldn't have had to follow me." "It's all right. You came through." With those words, they were gone. Lisa and her friends made the pilgrimage to the gravesite. "Hello, sweetie." It was the elderly woman standing in front with the family behind. "I trust it's peaceful where you are," Lisa said. "Yes, it is. Can I ask you to stop calling out for us? We'd enough actually relaxing." She chuckled. "Yes, I'll stop. Just promise to visit." "We will." They faded away. And that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it. To my YouTube family, thank you for coming by this evening. To anybody new, please check out my other videos. If you find something that you like, give it a thumbs up, drop me a comment, and share it out. That's greatly appreciated. While you're here, consider becoming a subscriber, and if you do, remember to click that notification bell. And until the next time, ciao for now. Somebody threw cheesies out. So we have a murder of crows here. They're even up on top of the building. No pooping on the witch. Look how beautiful. Shouldn't you guys be going home? Oh, there's my bus.